Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's July 2025. It's time for another Luxury Presence panel. My name is Chris Linsell. I'm the director of content here at Luxury Presence, and I have the honor, the privilege, the responsibility of hosting a pretty significant conversation with some powerhouses today in the brokerage and brand arenas. I don't want to spend a ton of time on housekeeping here. Y'all have been in Zoom meetings before. You know how this works. If you have questions, we want to hear them. Feel free to use the Q&A function. Drop them in there. We'll do our best to work them into the live Q&A at the end of the session. And of course, the chat is open and lively. Feel free to include your thoughts real time in the chat. That's all the housekeeping I got for you.
You're so
Let's
buttery smooth. I'm going to call you Kerrygold from now on.
That's what I want. I'm a smooth operator and I'm here to take care of business. And you know what? Let's introduce the folks who are joining us today on the Luxury Presence panel. We have three incredible panelists. Jonathan Kauffmann, founder of Nest Realty, Ryan Coyne, CTO at SERHANT, and Lauren Henss, VP of Marketing and Strategic Initiatives at First Team. That is their title and names, but I want to give each of these folks a chance to introduce themselves to you. So let's go around the horn. Jonathan, let's start with you. We know that you're a founder at Nest Realty, but tell us a little bit more about you. Where are you based? What markets are you serving? And tell us a little bit about your history with Nest.
Sure. I'm Jonathan. We're based in Virginia. We Nest operates in 16 markets, mostly the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. We operate in 6 states. We have a little over 550 agents. And just from a scale perspective, as a collective group, did about 2.7 billion last year. And so, yeah, that's the quick overview of where we are as a company.
Excellent. Ryan Coyne, CTO of SERHANT, like the ant. I saw that YouTube video. I don't know if the rest of you did. Ryan, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you're working on right now.
Thanks so much for asking, Chris. And of course, thank you so much for having me. And Jonathan, very impressive work that you and Nest have accomplished and achieved. Wishing you all the dreams coming true with what you've got going on as well. So yeah, I go by Coyne. It's like a one name thing, like a Bono or a Beyonce or a Madonna kind of thing. I am one of the faces of our company's culture, inwardly and outwardly. One of the few people who get the privilege of touching every area of the company across the entire country every single day. And I've been working with Ryan Serhant, our CEO and founder, for about 11 years. I used to have hair and his used to be brown. That's how long it's been. So yeah, I'm kind of my chief experience officer is my title. I used to be the CTO for the first 4 years of the company, and it's a really wild ride. We are now in 11 states plus Washington, D.C. And having founded on September 15th, 2020 with about a dozen of us, and now being over 1,400 people in the organization, it's been fun. And our content to commerce flywheel is you'll find us on Netflix, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, in your inbox, on CNBC, on Fox Business. We're every place. With the world's most followed real estate brand being an accurate claim to fame, over 9 million followers, and a brand exposure that does over 100 million impressions a day.
Lauren, Lauren Henss, one of my favorite pre-event interviews of all time. Lauren, when I talked to Lauren yesterday, you jumped right in. You barely said hello. You were so excited. Lauren, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and the markets you're serving.
Yeah, so I'm Lauren. I'm from First Team. My title is VP of Marketing and Strategic Initiatives. So, what that title encompasses is I have the opportunity to work with leadership and other teams on obviously marketing, strategic growth, and expansion, as well as recruitment and retention initiatives. So, as we know, that involves many different things in terms of, onboarding product. Innovation and so forth. So I'm very blessed to have that. As we know, First Team has been around for nearly 50 years. We just announced recently, a few months ago, our national expansion. So we have over 2,300 agents, but have been had the opportunity. I've been here for over a year now, but had the opportunity to lead some amazing initiatives with some amazing people.
Outstanding. I want to dig into our topic today, which is betting big on brand, how top brokerage organizations are recruiting and retaining and scaling, all while maintaining identity. But before we do that, there's one other shiny, beautiful face on the screen I want to make sure everybody is aware of, Mr. Drew Wilkie. He's from Luxury Presence. Drew, you want to say hello? Tell us where you're calling in from?
Hey everyone, yeah, definitely the least important person on this call, LIP. So I'll take that status big time today. So really, just honored to be here with these folks in the call today. And yeah, Drew Wilkie, Director of Business Development at Luxury Presence, calling in from beautiful San Diego.
How's the baby,
Outstanding.
Drew? Baby's good?
Baby's good. She's not crying right now, so we'll see. When my 3 minutes are to speak, I'm sure she'll be crying. So that's how
Yeah.
it usually
Yeah.
goes, right?
Knock on wood there. Hey guys, let's jump right in. I'm psyched to have a serious, provocative conversation around the importance of brand and identity for organizations in the real estate space. Um, Lauren, let's start with you. When you joined First Team, you one of your first moves was actually narrowing your recruiting funnel. It was all about understanding exactly who your primary audience was, who the agents were that you wanted to attract. And that conversation was tightly entwined with this idea of who First Team is, what your brand was.
Mhm.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? That has to be, that had to have been a challenging situation, or at least a puzzle that needed solving, jumping right in to a brand that's been around for so long.
Yeah, and I want to start with like what you and I talked about, Chris. So I'm a big believer that like when you look at a brand is the sum total of experiences one has with you, right? And I needed to really take a step back and be like, what is that in terms of an agent? And what we needed to do in terms of the brand and what is very powerful with us is recruitment, sales, marketing are intertwined. It is very much something where it is a group effort in terms of we're all together, really working on what this experience looks like. So when we were narrowing down our brand, it is very similar of who do we want to attract, which agents propel, obviously perform well, which is a good part where we can benefit them as much and have that mutual partnership in terms of, and who can we deliver the impact of career growth? Because one of the things about First Team is we meet them where they're at. We build careers. And because we're independent, we have the ability, and that's our whole behind the agent philosophy, right? We have the ability to pivot and make decisions very quickly. So I was looking at not only the agent experience coming in, what did that look like for me, but also looking at, okay, which agents do really well? Which are some that are looked up to? And how can we build off of that? How can we build a brand off of those personas that agents are going to be attracted to, but are real, right? They
Mm,
are relevant. And I think you and I talked about that is we built the brand off of like, yes, somebody can look at me and resonate with me, or somebody can look at, our other leadership, Michelle, who's absolutely amazing, and our CEO, and Anna, and I can't even name enough people on this call. But what I was trying to do and what I constantly do moving forward with this is utilizing our agents as brand ambassadors because I want people to resonate with the person that speaks most closely to them and their values.
mm. It's such an interesting point, and I want to toss it over to Coyne. Coyne, I think that you and I talked about a number of those same values and priorities, but you guys took, I think, a little bit of a different approach in the way that you structured kind of that brand development. Uh, and I loved the term you used yesterday. You said you've got Willy Wonka at the front of the ship here in Ryan, but your goal is actually to develop everyone else into their own Willy Wonka as well. What's your take on this idea of using brand as a point of development, as Lauren kind of kicked us off.
It's actually really hilarious that you just brought that back up because I literally just texted back another agent of ours who's in the final screening for a new Netflix show called Golden Ticket, which is Willy Wonka themed. So you couldn't have picked that better. It's kind of amazing. Anyway, yeah, Ryan happens to be an incredibly hard worker, as people know, and they've seen the evidence of. In fact, I was there for the evolution of him starting out with chips on both shoulders and every knee and ankle and elbow, having to remind people that the success didn't only come from TV and different kinds of stuff, to the proof being out there as various proof points that that wasn't a thing. Like, I got to witness the boy becoming a man from 29 to 41, and when he stopped having to say those things. How we approached that was, it took a village in order to build him up in such a way that we were generating business, organically, to the point that, our website on a bad day gets between 50 and 100,000 uniques. When our show came out, we had like a crazy spike of like over 1 million people in a day, and for several days that quintupled our traffic permanently after the Netflix show's premiere. Drew and the rest of the team have seen the logs. Like, they were like, wow, we didn't know Cloudflare's like charts went up this high and stuff like that. But what we realized was, if it takes a village to build Ryan up, what can we learn from that and make scalable to do the same thing for everybody else? So to your point, where we sometimes make the joke that we're Oompa Loompas so that he can lick wallpaper with people's grandpas and stuff like that, while he's actually still very much involved in different kinds of things, from pitches to closings to yada yada. We have a new listing in Sagaponack coming. Actually, I think it launched yesterday. $89 million compound in Sagaponack that he was yelled at just as loudly by the seller about something yesterday as the other listing agent. What can we learn about the vital things, like to Lauren's point? What works? What's scalable? How do we make sure that we bring the entire strength of what the team was that got him elevated to every single agent at SERHANT? What are those minimum requirements? What's the maximum? How do we make sure that we package things from, if we're going to launch into a new market, what does it mean to scale our studio's production company there also? What does it mean to have our marketing department, which we call ID Lab, because it's kind of a laboratory for your identity? How do we make sure that we're capturing the culture and the unique nuances of that new market we're going into? Because Ryan needed to dominate New York City initially. And then all of a sudden we were faced with, oh, it's different other places when going outside of that, which I had some experience with, but not every single person of the team in the beginning did. I was a consultant for many before Ryan put a business ring on my finger in 2020. So yeah, that question gets answered myriad ways, but you're always looking at what is going to provide the return on investment that turns the agent into a deal magnet, that you're really attracting deals. Like, you're not just spraying and praying. You're turning it into something that is hyper targeted, buyer personas, demographics, psychographics, and really locking into your unique value proposition and your voice as an agent, because you can give anybody the world's best, most technologically advanced, shiniest megaphone. But if they're not confident and don't know what to shout into it, they won't use it at all.
That's a really, I really love that analogy here, and it's again a perfect segue, because Jonathan, I was doing some reading last night about the kind of the development of Nest and its expansion, and Coyne used the term magnet, which was an ironic choice of word here, because I've heard Nest Realty be described as somewhat of a magnet of quality agents. And yet I will say, and I'd love for you to correct me if you think I'm off base on this, but I would say that Nest has never really built, at least not from an outward perspective, it's not built a super active recruiting model around these big displays of kind of culture and brand identity in the same way that SERHANT or even First Team has. And yet the great people continue to show up on your door. So I guess I'd love to hear from your perspective, when you're building in a little bit of a different way, how is it that you're still getting some of these great people showing up at your door day after day wanting to be Nest agents?
Sure. And I think we have taken a little bit of a different approach. I've got I'm jealous of, the Ryan Serhant personality and can tell he's definitely a hard worker. He's got a much different personality than I do. I'm reserved introvert, right? So I'm going about this a different way. But that being said, what Lauren talked about and what Coyne talked about at Nest, we have the exact same philosophy, is that we understand who we are as a brokerage. We understand who the right agents are that should be with us. And we've built our service model, our offering, our brand, our culture. We've built that to attract from a magnet standpoint, like to kind of use your metaphor. Um, we built it to attract agents that appeal to us, right? And there's, Chris, you and I talked about this. There's, I think, 85,000 brokerages across the US. And, maybe that's too many. That's a webinar for a different day. But the reason why there's so many brokerages is because there's so many agents that are looking for different things. So what First Team has done and what Serhant has done and what Nest has done at the core is understanding who we are and building a brand and a service offering that attracts the right agents. And
Mm.
look, here's the term that we use. And we're smaller than both First Team and Serhant. We're happy with where we are, but we talk about curating a network of agents versus just collecting agents, right? There's brokerages out there that are just like collecting and going out there and being, how many can we get? And let's talk about how big we are. And like, good for them, like different model. But we are trying to curate the right network. And I don't know, Lauren, what your stats are and Coyne, what your stats are, but when you know who you are and you're looking to bring the right people on and you have a very methodical uh, recruiting slash courting period, and you understand what they're looking for and what you can offer, and we're trying to figure out if it's the right fit, your retention rate is so much higher. I mean, our retention rate, is in the 90s percentage, like high mid to high 90s percentage every year. And part of that is because we are bringing the right people on, and we're not just going out there and like throwing darts and spaghetti against a wall and being like, gosh, we're going to throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and I hope half of these stick, right? That's not our
Yeah.
approach, and that's
I
approach of
love the
some other firms.
authenticity in your voice. I can hear it, that genuine nature. And Lauren, I'm seeing you nod. I think the three of us are all, fully synergized here. Not to be like so HQ and use the synergy word. I'm sorry, everybody watching. I hate myself for doing it. No, but in all seriousness, like that also helps you make sure that what you want to guarantee and quality assure to the offering of your customers, which our customers are our agents, is something that you can back up, right?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah,
And
I
It's
agree.
go ahead,
I think
Lauren.
good point. Like it is about, it's okay. It's better to say that you can't fit anyone because you need to attract people that have the same values as you do in order to succeed. Because at the end of the day, it is a true partnership. At the end of the day, a very pivotal one. So I think it's great and very similar to you. We have a similar retention rate, Jonathan, on that. But I think it's because of that. Because if you're just going there and you're just doing the wide net for everybody, one, no brokerage can be everything to everybody, as we very well know. You will fail ultimately,
Yeah.
and you will be known of that. And it takes 2 years to build a brand on average, right? And if you start doing that, it takes seconds to take it down.
It seems like the three of you, both in this session and in my conversations with you, all center, maybe you approach it a little bit differently, but there is a fundamental truth that continues to come back around that is brand, and the success of a brand of a real estate brokerage starts with knowing who you are and knowing which sorts of agents, what sort of executors are consistent with who you are and the businesses that you want to run. And to your point earlier, Lauren, there are definitely models out there of brokerages that really will accept anybody. They're more interested in headcount than they are maybe some of the particulars of the way that those businesses operate. I guess I would love to hear from the three of you, and Coyne, why don't we start with you on this? What does a what does the alignment process look like when you have somebody who wants to join Serhant? What sort of things are you looking for in that agent? And is there a checklist, either, figuratively or literally, to say, like, this is who we are at Serhant, this is what we're looking for, and this is what you have to offer? How does that process work for you?
It's multi-layered. We have culture fit is above all. Like we have rule number one with us is be a good human to other people and focus on selling homes. There is no rule number two. If you've watched our Netflix show, you've seen us keep true to that, and we do terminate if somebody is disruptive or not a culture fit any longer. At every level, including the executive one, we hold people accountable to our values. Being relentless is one of our values, but it's not at any cost, for example. So we definitely look for, if somebody's going to be a solo agent, there's certain kind of production minimums and things that we're not bringing on somebody who's too junior. We did an experiment that was publicized to 300 million people on Netflix with an agent who was kind of brought in as an exception to that to see how that would go. But generally, unless somebody is going to be on a team, they need to come in with a certain amount of business that they've done, certain amount of years, things like that. And we're looking to map their strengths to what we can amplify. The whole thing is about, it's not about Ryan, it's not about our brand. That's a foil just to get people who wouldn't normally pay attention to real estate to pay freaking attention to real estate. It's about amplifying them. So for some people, we have agents who would never make a social post. They can't spell IG. Okay. And and you'd be surprised because in the demographics, we have certain agents who saw the moon landing live on television who are great with technology versus people who weren't alive for certain tragic events of the early 2000s that seem to be technologically behind. So if we look at somebody, what are they strong at? Whether it's they're a brand horse, they're a workhorse, they're a culture horse, all the different things that they're strong at. How do we map those things to the value we can provide them? And where do we think we're going to be able to amplify that, whether it's 3 or 10 or more times? So yeah, I think with build, brand, amplify, simplify, and connect, which are our 5 pillars, somebody maps strongly to one or more of those things, then it's a look. It's not
Mhm.
all just about the GCI, though we're very fortunate to have partnerships and market growth that has been strong in that area too.
Jonathan, let me throw this to you here. I'm curious, especially given the way that Nest is, the agents are spread across multiple markets. Um, would you say that do you have to do something specific or intentional around maintaining the brand consistency that you have established at Nest, given the fact that you can't be in every meeting every time? You have, I mean, you tell me how many offices that you have now. There is a certain amount of brand consistency that has to occur by virtue of enforcing kind of the operational ethos of the business too. Is that a struggle for you? How do you attack that?
Sure. I mean, I think it's a struggle for anybody that's got real estate brokerages across, spread across a town or a city or multiple states, right? You've got agents that want to build their own brand, and there's like this balance. And I think, we are intentional about it. Our communication is very intentional. Our recruiting is very intentional, right? If an agent comes on board or comes to us and wants to join, and they've got a giant orange sign and they're not willing to kind of work within a framework of our branding, they're probably not the right fit. And so, we maybe won't get past past the first step with them. But yeah, we are intentional about it. Our communication that we have, whether it's over email or whether we have a, annual event that we have 350 agents that come to. It's very intentional. And I think if you're not intentional about it, even if you have one agent in one office and you're not intentional about your communication and what you're trying to accomplish or what value you're bringing to them, or what they can do for you, uh, you know, then things can go awry pretty quickly, especially in the world of independent contractors.
Yeah, Lauren, I've got something bookmarked on my desktop, which is the rollout of First Team's I want to say it was like 2,300 plus subdomains.
Yeah, I think Drew can comment on that one too, but yeah.
I mean,
Something around there.
yeah, the amount of scale that you are working to provide at First Team for all of the agents who are working within the organization it requires a certain amount of conformity so that everything looks and feels like it's part of the same ecosystem. But you also don't want your agents to have to sacrifice personalization. So how do you handle this the kind of the brand I don't want to call it a conflict, but it's just the brand
The
kind of
alignment.
loggerhead that occurs
Dance. It's
here.
a dance.
Yeah, it's a dance. That's a good yeah.
It's
Well,
a
what's your
tango.
approach at First Team
Um,
as a leader there?
No, but I think like Jonathan had a really good point. I mean, those discussions are had in the very beginning when we are recruiting and meeting and with the agents. And those conversations are had very similar in terms of look and brand and what you qualify for. Because yes, there's a balance. Obviously, we're behind them, we're propelling them, like, but that is a conversation that I definitely think you need to have as part of the partnership, right? I think that's a very important part because everybody said here, like we look for when we're amplifying the brand, we're looking for people who will add to the culture in a good way, who will expand us and take us to the next level in partnership with us. But when we're looking at that, it's involved in the beginning. So when we're bringing on a new agent in terms of the recruitment conversations and the conversations that my team is on, everybody throughout, we will mention this and we will be confirmed. So when we get to that point, there should be once everything's signed, there should be no questions in terms of where we are. If we're having those questions at that time, once everything's signed, we have a problem. Either somebody's like not saying something or I'm not listening or vice versa on our team. So
Mhm.
we need to make sure that that is said. The other thing that, we'll often do is we get agents, probably which you do as well, who want a brand refresh and a brand audit and to see it through fresh eyes. And we'll often do that as part of that as well, because we'll be like, we'll show them what is possible. This is great, but this is what your logo represents currently or your brand represents currently. In order to get you to the next level of production, how about we do this?
Are
Mhm.
you
Like,
dressed for the job you want versus the job you have? Yeah.
exactly. Let's pave you because at First Team we build meaningful careers. So our job is to take you, wherever you come in, we meet you at all the way to the end of your career where you want it to be, a sellable asset if you want that for your business. So our job is to grow you. And so sometimes having those meaningful conversations, but I think what it really goes back to when you're talking about brand is you need to be an advisor, not an order taker. You need to be a true advisor and tell them the why, along with the impact that it's going to have for them and their business and their team.
So
You think about that, everything else falls into place.
let's jump on that train as an advisor, but I actually am going to turn the tables on the three of you. I want you to pretend that you are advising yourself at the start of your journey being in charge of brand development for brokerage and understanding what that means. So, Coyne, let's start with you. Let's say you can go back, you can whisper in little Coyne's ear, back before you know what you, but to the time where you didn't know what you didn't know. You can take all the knowledge that you have right now. Let's give that Coyne some advice. What is a mistake that Coyne should be on the lookout for? Something that is a trap that's easy to fall in, that brokers and brokerage leaders make when they're thinking about their brand identity, the brand operation of their business.
Just because you're smart enough to convince yourself of something doesn't make you correct.
Mm. Say more. Say more. What does
I
that
will.
mean?
I was just letting it, millennial pause for effect,
Got it.
No, to me, it's gonna sound like it's not related, but it is. Leadership is about changing how people think so that they change what they do. Management is about changing what you do, and you'll be micromanaging people forever if you don't spend more time sharpening your mission, your vision, and to Lauren's point, your why, so that people's thinking evolve to align with that, and that everything gets more, aligned there.
Mm.
So I would give that advice to myself, is that if I'm finding a difficult time conveying my message, it's one of two reasons. Either it's positioning, which is a fancier word for marketing, or it's because I haven't found the right words to communicate. After our Mercedes-Benz Places Miami launch party, I was at a taco stand with one of our team leaders at midnight, and people were looking at us weird because we were the only people wearing suits and stuff at whatever time it was. And I get, the team leader gets a text from one of his agents. This is, I've told this agent 5 times. And I'm like, have you told them 5 times the same way, or have you found 5 different ways to try to get through to them this concept? Because one of those is a failure of leadership and not on them.
Mm.
He's like, oh, it's so annoying when you make a good point,
Mm.
And I checked in a couple of days later. How did it work out? I found, yeah, I figured out a few different ways to communicate it. So my advice to my younger self would be, especially when it comes to brand and approaching that, is, am I asking the right question? What
Mm.
question, like, am I trying to solve the right problem?
Mm.
Why do I want more? Is what part of my marketing strategy am I trying to enhance with this? Is there something that doesn't come naturally to me that I'm making up for, but the brand is going to be carrying the weight of that on its shoulders?
Mm.
Is it something that I should be marketing myself that way? We have agents that are looking to raise their price point. The average, SERHANT agent raises their price point in year one of being here, in different ways. I'm not going to make this a SERHANT pitch, but it's definitely something when they say, how do I do that? Well, okay, so let's analyze everything about what you're putting out there. And again, to Lauren's point, does it actually line up with who you're trying to attract? So when I was
Mm.
a younger Coyne, was I positioning myself as the proper technology advisor, or just the resourceful guy who was always available? And was that sustainable?
Mm.
Was that something that I was projecting enough confidence in, that you should wait for me because I'm the world's foremost neurosurgeon, even though I can't see you until next month? Or should you move on and keep calling other neurosurgeons?
Mm.
Which a lot of agents have anxiety about being available so they don't get passed over. How do you make your positioning so strong that people will wait for you?
Yeah. Jonathan, I'd love to hear your perspective. You can go back, you can whisper in your ear. This time though, I want you to identify something that maybe worked in a way that you didn't expect, or better than you expected. What was an unexpected win early on that you wish you knew more about in the field of like brand identity, even the idea of like establishing who you are and using that as a benefit to the agents that you're recruiting?
Oh man. What's something that worked better than what's something that worked better than we thought that it would work?
Yeah, or so like an unexpected win for you
Sure. I mean,
here,
I'll give you a very specific example, and this is
please.
like seemingly extremely mundane, but it's become a big piece of our service offering and who we are, to agents. So, gosh, it was probably, we started this company 17 years ago, and we were about, I'll make this a quick story. We were about 3 years in, and we wanted our agents to have, look, we were a small company at this point. There was just a handful of us and really no support team. And I was the janitor and the accountant and everything at that point in time. But we wanted our agents to stay in touch with their sphere. And this is a problem that agents have today. And it's even more difficult, back 10, 12, 13 years ago. Um, so we tried to get our agents to do it, and we encouraged them, and they do it for a couple months and then they would stop doing it. So we said we're going to start our own brokerage run sphere marketing program. And we built this, what's a seemingly very simple, I mean, it was kind of a decision we made on a Friday afternoon one day. It's like, well, let's just do it for our agents, not having any idea how big of a piece of our culture it eventually, and our service offering it eventually became. So we call it our Friends of Nest program, and it's a 8 time a year amazing sphere marketing program that agents can personalize and customize. We send 350 to 400,000 direct mail pieces a year out. And that was just kind of like off the cuff, like I said, Friday afternoon, like let's just do this. And it's interesting to think about stories like that where you make a decision and it not really, but kind of changes the trajectory of your company and kind of like what you're offering versus a lot of these decisions that we sit around and like work for months over that maybe don't have any impact at all and fall flat. So
Mm,
yeah, that's a very seemingly mundane example of like, anytime I talk about direct mail to people, they're like, oh gosh,
mm.
it's so boring, but it works.
That's great.
Oh,
That's
direct mail
great.
is amazing. We actually just got Joel Embiid from the Philadelphia 76ers. We just got a buyer for his condo for 4 million in Philadelphia because of a direct mail campaign.
Yeah,
It still works.
Mm.
it works.
Lauren, let's wrap this section up. You're going to go back. Um I'll give you the following prompt. I would love to hear from you. If you could give advice to your younger self on this topic, the question specifically is what about the brand of First Team do
Mhm.
you know now as something that is vitally important that maybe you didn't realize kind of right on the outset? What is a pillar of your brand identity that maybe wasn't perfectly clear to begin with? Is there anything that jumps out at you?
I think the part that is obviously very clear, well, obviously you have first team in there, like you obviously have the team, but how much we have built meaningful careers due to the
Mm,
overall team model that we have created and how powerful that is. Something coming from obviously prop tech as well as, larger brokerages, how powerful being fiercely independent is so we can make those agile agent decisions when it comes to campaigns, rollouts, and all those kinds of things. Because I'm not talking to a board of directors. I'm not talking about that. I'm not going to spend $2 billion to build a platform, right? I don't have that money. However, I can sit here and similar to like what Jonathan said, our team can build an amazing content suite that gives them the social post, a newsletter, as well as a postcard to instantly send their sphere of influence in a matter of minutes, delivered direct to their inbox, right? I can build those agent solutions. So, one thing that I would say, in addition to that, when you were asking everybody when they're looking back, is identify wins that add value.
mm,
What are things that you can add value that have very high impact for little effort?
mm,
And that's
mm,
based on understanding what the agents want and what's important to them. Because often, sometimes as a marketer, you're sitting here and you're like, I want to do this trend. I want to do this trend. And you want to do this trend. But is that marketing tactic accurate for your current demographic? For
mm,
not only your current agents, but the agents that you are trying to attract.
mm.
So it's important to pick the right ones, I think.
Yeah. That's very sage advice. I want to quickly ask you guys, and I know we could go, this could be an entire webinar, but I saw a question in the chat around platforms. What are you using? What platforms are you using to build out your brand? Let's do just a kind of a quick, kind of rapid fire on this. And I would encourage you to think about all of the different places where you express your brand, whether it's internally or externally. What are some of the places that you use? Lauren, let's start with you since we were just chatting.
I mean, granted, we're all over, social media in terms of Meta and all that. We launched on TikTok. We're actively doing internal from like webinars and newsletters and those
Hmm.
things. From a recruitment standpoint, we find it very important from doing events and so forth that we're doing. And then I also think that is important from our PR partnerships as well. So
Mm,
we are doing a lot more of thought leadership content based on what what I hear from agents' preferences. They want thought leadership content. They want stuff that they can take and apply that is rinse and repeat. That's what's meaningful to them.
mm,
So I think when you talk about this, how we decide on which, platforms we use is which are going to be the most authentic.
yeah. Jonathan, how about you? What platforms do you use to express the brand of Nest Realty?
Thanks for letting me go before Coyne because he's gonna destroy all of us with
Well,
this. So, um, Yeah, look, I mentioned one of them before. We do, and I guess when we're talking about our brand, getting our brand out there, it's really there's a couple avenues, right? You want to build your brand to agents in one respect, and you want to build your brand to potential, clients and consumers in the other respect. But and so it's a little bit of a balance that you strike with like what you're doing in certain platforms and different times and what type of content you're putting out there. We do give our agents and provide our agents with a lot of content so they can kind of help build their brand. Like Lauren said, like we see ourselves as standing behind and supporting our agents. So we provide them with a lot of resources that they can go out there and kind of build their brand with Nest. Um, you know, and we're doing the basics and Meta. We do a lot of internal things from our agents. We do, and the last thing I'll say is we do a lot of direct mail. We've got an amazing recruiting brochure that we have that we will direct mail to certain targeted agents. We work with kind of work with some different providers to find target the right agents. So yeah, so it's a combination of a variety of things.
Mm.
We're not getting a million people on our site every day like SERHANT is.
I love
Coyne,
the mail for what it's worth. There was a great article on theverge.com about all the technology the USPS gave us. Did you know that ZIP stands for Zone Improvement Plan? And the post office had a mascot named Zippy that was to promote that to the American people. I got a ton of those. They'd be number 47 on the Fortune 500 if they were a publicly traded company, the USPS. Most people don't know
huh,
that. Anyway,
Coyne, which platforms aren't you on, Coyne?
Great question.
there have been certain platforms we've abandoned because of security issues. We
Hmm.
we are mercilessly attacked. We're basically like a nation state because of how visible we are.
Hmm.
Um, we had I haven't told this story publicly, but it's a fun one. Somebody cloned Ryan's voice using AI and did a great Photoshop of him holding his driver's license and convinced Venmo's fraud team that it was really him at 8:45 at night. And only because we were able to text Gary Vaynerchuk, who was an angel investor in Venmo, to get us on with Venmo's C-suite, and then get an apology from Jamie Dimon from Chase because they also got to an account through there, were we able to get him recovered. But very few people have that kind of ability to get customer support at that level.
Hmm.
So we actually had it was our Instagram account, Ryan's main account, the 2.5 million follower account, that was compromised with like a Bitcoin scam a few months ago. And they didn't get into his Instagram. They got into the platform that we used to manage the social, which it's called Vista Social. It's a great company. I'm not attacking them, but we tend to reveal two things: vulnerabilities and also opportunities. We choose platforms and partners that are willing to give us not front seat, in driver's seat of what they do, but people who are willing to let us at least be in the car
Hmm.
to be influential with the decisions in their roadmap. We only
Hmm.
build what doesn't already exist. Like SirHant Simple is something that didn't exist in the marketplace before, and we were earlier to AI than everybody else in ways that Drew can tell you all the stories about. But yeah, I mean, the platforms that we choose, Luxury Presence is a great partner. I think that CRMs are largely interchangeable, even if you have a preference. Just like the best camera is the one that you happen to have with you, is advice that I'm sure, Lauren, you've heard a million times, especially being a marketing enthusiast forever. The best AI and the best tools are the ones you'll actually use and stick to and systematize and hold people accountable to using them.
Hmm.
What good is any platform that you're using if you don't have a system or a process around it, if you don't have good standards to enforce, and you don't hold
Hmm.
people accountable to the goals, strategies, tactics, and KPIs of using them?
Hmm.
So we have had very low vendor partner churn in the 5 years we've been around, because we make the most out of getting the most toothpaste out of the tube of the tools that we choose. Um, for us, platforms that we're not really on yet, we're not really big on like texting campaigns. We have a tool for that, but it's not something that we've made broadly available to our agents because there's green bubble hatred, there's all different kinds of different stuff. We do have AI voice and calling solutions involved in different places, but yeah, I'm not super big on letting AI completely own the relationship of talking to clients on people's behalf.
Hmm.
There's ways to make it better. There's ways to hyper personalize that. We have stuff that we're working on that we think is going to make the industry go, oh, oh. But largely, I think there's a lot of companies that are opportunistic and looking to get anywhere from 10 to 15 grand out of agents who are kind of being preyed on and told that this AI solution is going to print money for you when the reality is we can see through it a
Hmm.
lot, you know?
So yeah, yeah, and Coyne, I appreciate the shout out on to Luxury Presence there. We are a proud partner of Nest and First Team and SERHANT. Drew, I'd love to bring you into the conversation here because you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time thinking about and talking to brokers and broker leaders about how we can be a part of their brand efforts. Will you tell us a little bit about that work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, great to be here today. Just want to start by saying I have a lot of admiration for Coyne, Jonathan, and Lauren. Not only clients of Luxury Presence, but really more partners for the business. And then Jonathan said, friends of Nest. The three of you are very much friends of Luxury Presence. So I appreciate you all being here today. But yeah, what I'd like to do is share a bit of background about Luxury Presence for maybe those tuning in who don't know about us or only a little bit. And then share, yeah, to Chris's point about how we empower all these amazing brands and three of the most amazing brands, obviously, on the call today. So for the sake of having a visual, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, Chris just gave you a screen share request. Awesome.
A few
Um,
moments later.
boom. Thank you, Coyne, for always keeping us on point. So a little background about Luxury Presence. Our business was founded 9 years ago. Our CEO and founder, Malte Kramer. We're really proud to say that we have over 15,000 client accounts now, 80,000 real estate agents on the platform. Luxury Presence is a company. We have over 400 full-time employees, thinking about how we can empower the next, digital age of real estate. And specifically, what we're doing is as you can see today on this webinar, there's a lot of thought and intent behind building a brand. I think it was Lauren who said it takes 2 years to build a brand, right? Just to get it, and it can take seconds to tear it down, right? And our clients trust us to make sure, number one, that brand is visually appealing and in digital ecosystem for them to best present themselves, right? But not only does it have to be visually appealing, it also has to be easy and frictionless operational to be able to create these digital assets to have your digital ecosystem in one place. So what better way to talk about that than to show you all how it works, right? So I actually have the First Team website here that's built and powered by Luxury Presence. Right when you get onto the homepage, you are just bam, the first image there, Southern California. Now you're all growing into other markets across California, but you get some vineyards there. But you can see the visuals, very
Grapes.
appealing. Right. Yep. Exactly. We don't have as much of that down here in San Diego, but a little bit more north. Scroll down, market presence. Easy scroll for consumers to see. I'll click into one as example. Come over here. Click Coronado. That's one of beautiful areas of San Diego. Scroll down, but what's really nice is you can see the little orange touches, and boom, you're hit with the goods. Right. Inventory, listings. It's a real estate website. You have to have that. Then you get into local community data. Once again, that First Team branding is still consistent on the page, but very localized to this area, right? So that's one example of that visual brand coming across on the website. Another page I love on the First Team site, and Lauren really spoke about this today and their recruitment strategy, is their careers page. But what's really smart here is the segmentation, right? It's not just some generic careers page with a bunch of information. It's segmenting. Are you a new agent? Are you seasoned? Do you want maybe an opportunity for ownership? And then you click into the new agents page. And then once again, shows the differentiation. Why is First Team different, right? It shows that right away. It has that brand consistency, right? It's appealing to the audience. So another great example of visual branding on the Luxury Presence platform, but really due to First Team's amazing thought behind the brand.
It's a gorgeous website, I have to say. Like, really, great job, Lauren and team.
Thank you. It was definitely a true partnership between Luxury Presence and all of our team here to get it over the finish line. But
I know that LP is no slouch, but you have to you need to not be a difficult client and actually like participate well in the process.
yeah,
We were a challenging client, so kudos to you because it came out great.
thank you.
And then Steve, you up there, Coyne, now to speak about the SERHANT website, but specifically one tool I want to focus on is the Willy Wonka analogy was I think that's part of not only was that a Coyneism, but it's also speaking to what is so unique about Serhant, right? They have Ryan Serhant's brand, but they use that to elevate their agents, right? And they're using one of Luxury Presence's tools here, agent mini sites, and one of the Serhant agents, Meredith Coyne, has that here, right? You
Go
see
go to the
Meredith.
one I just put in the chat. It's a great example of that's a
Yeah.
little more customized. Yeah, go to the Kellner Collective, Kathy Kellner, which by the way, the joke, the less prickly than a cactus was like a placeholder that I put there and she ended up loving it. So that was cool.
Oh, she kept the tagline underneath.
Yeah, I was like, that's a placeholder, but I like hers because she's
Huh.
got that custom menu at the top. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people sleep on the value of being able to put your vendor list and different kinds of resources for people. You know, she wanted to maintain some things she had from her previous brokerage, and we found a way to
Sure.
make it work. Like the platform is remarkably flexible considering the fact that it's not infinitely customizable, even though it's a landing page. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And then you come over here, click into the search tool. So now I'm a consumer coming on. I click on a listing. Boom, right? It has them promoting the agent for, lead flow and capture. But once again, leveraging, of course, the Serhant brand to elevate the agent or team. So another great example there, Coyne. And then also behind these beautiful websites is our platform, right? It has to operationally work too. You can have all the great visuals in the world and all of this digital branding, but if it's not easy to create, it's not frictionless. You all on the call today as business operators or your agents aren't going to use it. So in our platform, I'll show one quick tool. We have a lot back here, but just to tease one, our property website tool. You click it, you click a listing, and then within a matter of seconds, boom, you have a beautiful standalone website for said listing. And it wasn't difficult. It didn't take a lot of time, and it makes you look like magic to your seller, right? So operationally making it easy is important as well. And we can, tell you more in a deeper conversation about how our platform is able to do that and help streamline all of this for you. But we really want to continue the conversation, right? So that's just touching the surface. Put a QR code up here today. If you're listening in, feel free to scan this. We'd love to book a strategy call with you or your team, learn about how you're building your business, learn about how you're thinking about brand. So yeah, I'll leave that up there for a second.
Can you make that
Also,
QR code bigger so people can see it?
it's not big enough.
I'm sensing sarcasm.
Everything's bigger at Serhant, so maybe it didn't meet the. No, I was playing around with it. I was getting a little like, I think I increased the size like 3 times, Coyne. So I will say,
Oh, we've got
yeah,
QR securities. We'll build. It's okay.
QR
We'll work
security.
on it, Drew.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, anyway, I appreciate the time here to speak for a little bit. My name once again is Drew. Drew at Luxury Presence. If you want to talk to me directly, but yeah, we hope to have the chance to talk to you, and I'll turn it back to Chris to close this out.
Thanks,
Just to say
Drew.
goodbye to Drew properly, I want to say thank you to Drew and for everybody on your team because you're always so responsive and on top of it and taking great care of us, and you're proactive and give the kind of advice that we, Jonathan and Lauren and I were talking about valuing and how we've built up our brands earlier. You've taken care of us that way. Just want to say thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you very much.
Team,
Appreciate that.
we are at the end of the line here. We have time for some closing thoughts. I want to give each of you an opportunity to maybe in one sentence, two max. What's your best advice for brokers who want to grow their business and they need some reassurance or direction that their brand is ready to handle that kind of growth? Coyne, you want to go start first for us?
Yes, your opinion matters to people more than you think it does. You just need to keep your phone calls and advice shorter. If you call somebody with a 2-minute phone call of value, quality does not equal quantity, even though in salespeople's minds it frequently does. Figure out the most accurate, informed, or hot take thing that you can get across in a 2-minute phone call. And when this rings and your name shows up on it, have your clients be willing to answer because they know you're going to make them sound smarter at dinner tonight. You're not going to talk their ear off or ask them how the dog's doing. That's all a waste. Okay. And find a way to be taking the fact that you are the doctors and the nurses in the emergency room that is the housing market that powers the American economy, where you understand and see the trends that are happening before anybody else does. Get that information to your clients in 2 minutes or less over the phone and give them a reason to care and to answer you and to be like, you should talk to my person because they're not annoying. They're not salesy. They are less transactional, which leads to more transactions.
Lauren, what's one piece of advice you would give to an attendee today who's ready to grow but needs a little reassurance or advice that their brand is ready to scale with them?
I'm going to say find your niche. That is very important to narrow it down. What are you passionate about that you're better that you can be that true advisor than anybody else, right? Like, are you, doing trust, probate and trust, for example? Like, what are you really good at that they can come to you for?
Hmm. Jonathan, I want to give you the last word. I'm gonna come on board as your mentee, Jonathan, and I need some advice. I'm ready to grow my business. I'm ready to grow my brokerage, but I need a little reassurance that my brand is ready to go. What advice would you give me?
Well, I'm gonna give a similar spin to what Lauren said. I think it's like you've got to know who you are and know kind of where you fit in. Like, don't look at somebody else who's grown their brokerage and say, I'm gonna do it like that. Look inward at yourself, understand who you are, where you want to go, and find that niche and stay the course.
Hmm.
I think we all agree that if you're confident about what you're shouting into the megaphone because you understand yourself better, you will.
Yep.
I think the other part that you all said, here's the deal. When you're doing a brand, you're never going to feel comfortable.
Hmm.
It is going to be, there may be some things that are uncomfortable, but you have to take the step.
Hmm.
You can refine it, but you have to take the step.
You're one of those people who's really big on the if you feel comfortable, you're not growing. And the
Yes.
reason you
Oh,
feel
yes, I
uncomfortable
am.
is
I'm
because you're
like,
doing something important.
let's launch MVP and refine according to where you get traction. But
I
you need to
love
launch.
it.
I love
I
it.
love it.
Launch.
On that note, thank you everybody for being a part of today's Luxury Presence panel. I want to give a special thank you to Lauren, to Coyne, and to Jonathan. Thank you for sharing your insights, your different perspectives, wildly different approaches, all pointing in the same direction and achieving the same outcome. It's been a fantastic conversation. To everybody here who joined us for this conversation, thank you so much for your attention and for your questions. It's been so fun to have this conversation. Luxury Presence would love to be a part of your journey in scaling your real estate brand. I'm going to throw up onto the screen that QR code if you want to book a demo with Drew and his team to tell a little bit more, hear a little bit more about what we can do to make your the next chapter of your business dreams a reality. Feel free to scan, get yourself in there. Thanks, everybody. It's been great having you. We'll see you next month on the next Luxury Presence panel.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.